because our turnout paddocks play such an important part in the management of our competition horses, we do have a pretty active maintenance routine with the fields. And I suppose it's probably easiest to start in the springtime. If we take the spring, soon as our ground is dry enough, and we are lucky that we're on sloping, pretty gravelly ground here, we like to get the roller on the fields because the horses have been turned out throughout every day of the winter. There isn't one single day that we don't have a horse turned out. But because of that, then obviously the snow and the rain has caused the fields to be quite deep and muddy, and we get the roller on there and we try to get the fields as, back to normal again and get rid of some of those divots and holes where the horses have squelched down. And then we roll all around the fields and the fence lines as well. And fence lines, boys, sometimes you take the chain harrows around the edge.
Yeah, I think it's important to point out, don't leave it too late to roll, in terms of that you lose the moisture in the ground and it gets too hard. Don't be afraid to sort of get on there and get that rolled, and then take the chain harrow. We like to take the chain harrow around. It helps to sort out the where the horses have run up and down the fence line, and
helps to aerate the grass as well.
Well, the thing is that where you've got poached gateways and fence lines, as Tom said, if you let that bake hard, then you've got a very uneven surface, and when you're thinking about the horse's leg and collateral ligaments either side, then you want to minimise the amount of sudden movement it might make with the limbs there. So you want to minimise the risk of injury. So that's why we try to keep those fence lines and gateways in pretty good condition. So after we've rolled, then when the soil is getting warm enough and it looks like the grass is just going to start to grow, then we like to get our Sure Grow fertiliser on to give that grass a real good boost after the winter hammering that it's taken. Throughout the season, well actually throughout the whole year, we have a field sweeper which sweeps up all the manure and the droppings, which obviously helps then with worm control, but it also removes the stones, doesn't it?
Yeah, it does a number of things. It's got tines on the front to again help aerate the grass and dethatch it. Then it's got the brush, and it's also got a small roller on it too.
We find we can also take a lot of the dead grass out of there, which just creates a better environment for the sward to grow through and get thicker and stronger.
And then as the grass starts to grow, then we find we're coming into topping season, and that depends on the rate of growth of the grass. But we like to keep the sward about 4 inches high, and so it's difficult to say how often we top. Sometimes in the growing season we could be topping every 2 weeks. Much depends on the climate for that, and obviously the grazing intensity.
We are lucky with the field sweeper that if we happen to have to take a little bit more off, rather than leaving a lot of grass, a lot of cut grass lying on the fields, we can actually pick that up, which is obviously much more beneficial for the horses that are grazing, rather than them eating the cut grass.
And we also use a flail topper from B&B tractors, which helps mulch up the grass into finer pieces.
So if we're not taking as much off, just in mulching it up, it's not such an issue, is it then?
No. And then coming round to the autumn, we like to put another application of Sure Grow on to again give that burst, because as I said, we need our paddocks to be used 365 days a year. And certainly now, since we've learnt about this CSM, I think we'll certainly be using that to help unlock the nutrients in the ground.
I can see it fitting in really well with our Sure Grow routine, in terms of filling in the gaps where we've had, you know, our paddocks have had heavy use, and we can you know, put it on in between the spreads, and then we can use it in the winter as well, just to really give the field a good chance to produce a good paddock for the horses that they can enjoy all year round, really.
And then obviously on a daily basis we check the water supply. That's really important, that they have clean fresh water and that the troughs are filling it up regularly, and obviously in the winter that we remove the ice, any ice that's on there. And then obviously we check the fencing. But I must say, since we've changed to the horse rail, well, we don't have any fencing maintenance now because it's maintenance free.
I think something that we haven't really touched on is weed control, and because we use shore grow, we don't really have a problem with that. The shore grow helps the grass to really grow through strong, and it essentially pushes any weeds and the chance for the weeds to grow out. So we don't.
I think that's
ready for weed control.
A really good point, because when it came to weed control, that was me with a knapsack sprayer, and I actually haven't. There isn't one dot or one nettle on these paddocks, and I haven't been around there once this year. And I think that is because the quality of the grass is obviously just, you know, making the environment for the weeds not to happen. So that saved me a job. And that's about our paddock maintenance, isn't it, really?
Yeah. Yeah.
I mean, obviously we touched a little bit on worming, but it's really important that you have a good worming regime. But you know, I think you can also think of the bigger picture, and you can think about removing the droppings and the quality of the grass, and you get a more, especially with a CSM, you're going to get a more even grazing area. And then I think the need to keep putting anthelmintic chemicals into horses in terms of wormers is going to actually reduce, and that's got to be a good thing for our horses.